What's up, everybody? I just read another Nightmare Room book. This is Camp Nowhere, and right off the bat, this cover is not very good. Um, Most of these covers aren't very good, except this one. I pulled three books out because I actually read those pretty recently, within the last year or so, and I remember them pretty good. I've read the first three a long time ago when I was maybe 12 or 13, possibly, and I cannot tell you a single thing about those first three books. So eventually, when I get to further on down the road, when I read a lot more of these books, I'm probably going to go back and read the first three. There's 12 in the series plus trilogy, I think. And yeah, so, but overall, like Nightmare Room, so far, there's really some solid books. Like, all of these books here got a 4 out of 5 stars, except the one I'm about to talk about. So, spoiler alert, this one is like my least favorite. um, but I don't think it's a bad book. It just takes a little bit too long to get going. Stein does a really great job of writing like the setting of the camp and just getting to kind of know the characters and stuff like that's really cool. But I've already read like another book before this that was really slow, so I was not in the mood for another slow book. But this book was a little bit all over the place for me. The beginning wasn't that great, wasn't eventful. The middle point, it starts getting good, and then the ending is like really good. This possibly has the best ending of any of these books. I have to do some thinking, but yeah, Camp Nowhere starts off with 5 campers. We got Russell, the scaredy cat, who everybody likes to pick on, other than his love interest, kind of implied girl named Charlotte. There's a girl named Erin who's just kind of there, and there's two guys that pick on him a lot named Marty and David. And all of these 5 friends, they're senior campers at this camp. I think it's called like Hawkville or something. I don't remember. I remember the second camp, but I don't remember the first camp. This is Camp Hawkville, I think, or is it Hawkinsville? I don't know. Anyway, they're at this camp, and everybody's picking on this kid, other than like Charlotte, about being scared and stuff like that. And at the very beginning of the book, there is a dog stuck on top of a hill, and Russell tries to prove himself by being brave by climbing up the hill and saving the dog and, jumping back down and just being brave. And he runs into a bunch of snakes. And snakes are just like, in real life, snakes are everywhere, and they're scary. But usually when I read these books, I like to suspend my belief a little bit, But the way Stein wrote these snakes was really gross and terrifying. We get like things like that throughout the first half of the story. He goes into some wasp nests, again. Stein's writing is perfect. There's a scene where Stein writes about like the sun beaming on the back of the neck. And it's the middle of July right here, and it's really hot. So yeah, like this book really, really stuck with me on the time of the year I read it and all that. There is this, they have this campfire, and it's tradition for all of these campers on their senior year to go over this thing called Forbidden Falls, which I pictured was like a waterfall. And there's a guy named Ramos, which is the camp counselor. He's got like a ponytail, and I pictured John Redcorn from King of the Hill for some reason. But yeah, he tells a story about this Forbidden Falls is what it's called, and he tells a story about like how it was, what the urban legend is, and basically there was these Indians that had this land and they thought it was sacred, and a bunch of these people like colonists came in, and they're really dirty, and they bathe in the river, and they contaminated it, and so they like put a curse on anybody who goes over that river. So towards the middle of the book, we do get to the Forbidden Falls thing, and these kids are going over it, and they notice something. I'm not going to spoil it because it's kind of funny, but something isn't quite right, and they think that the Ramos guy pulls a prank on them. So the kids want to pull a prank back on him, and they're in these canoes. So what they do is they flip the canoes over, and they take their life jackets off and throw them in the water, and pretend that, you know, they fell. Kind of like a Curse of Camp Cold Lake kind of thing. They just, you know, want them to feel bad and all that. So after that, we get some exploring and all that. They end up getting lost, and they stumble upon this other camp called Camp Evergreen. And this guy comes up. I don't even remember the counselor's name here, but this reminded me a lot of like Camp Jelly Jam. Like the, you know, it just, they had like white shirts and shorts and stuff, and that's what it reminded me of. And this is where the book actually gets good, in my opinion. It does get pretty intense, and I'll give you a little bit. There is this kid running around trying to warn these kids they need to leave. You know, they're at the wrong camp. You know, this is bad camp, and different things like that. But yeah, there's a reveal towards the end of what is making what's going on at this camp that's really, really good. Like, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil anything. I think you should read this and go in, because I could see people, like, why they would like this. It just didn't do it for me. It was a little too slow. Like, I think that if the ending, like, the middle portion of this book was the same as the beginning, I think this book would have been fine. But in my opinion, this is probably Stein's weakest camp book and Stein's weakest Nightmare Room book that I've read so far. But yeah, the Nightmare Room, Camp Nowhere, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. I think the ending is terrific, like I said. When you get to this Camp Evergreen place, it's pretty cool. That's where the scary stuff starts happening. And the first half of this book is just kind of slow. It's very, I don't know. I think Austin, compared it to Are You Terrified Yet? I could kind of see that. But yeah, I think Are You Terrified Yet is way better than this. But yeah, if you guys read this, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought. 3 out of 5 stars for me. I do plan on doing reviews for these pretty soon. Because I do remember them. I've done reviews on Instagram, but I do want to do them on here. But for future references, this is probably the coolest cover. That's Scare School, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Camp Nowhere, 3 out of 5 stars for me. What did you guys think about it? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you. Bye-bye.